Next item I want to talk about is revenue sharing. Now, this is something that has always been an important goal for our protocol. We believe in making sure that crypto investors are rewarded, validators are rewarded, creators are rewarded. And so over time, without having the benefit of actually implementing things, we had conjectured, planned, envisioned a revenue sharing for first and foremost for boosters. So that's the NFTs we sold in order to raise capital. Then for validators, then also for now for Vortex holders. And in the process, I heard much feedback from the community about, hey, how about including this? How about changing the revenue share to this, etc. And that got me thinking a little bit. And in order to solve the problem, I always like to go back to first principles thinking. And first principles thinking says that don't start with any assumptions. Like start with a clean slate, figure out what you want to achieve, and then achieve that goal. So what I would like to present to you today is my thinking for the past almost 15 days now, and I'd like to present it to you as a plan and a proposal. So what I'm about to present, it's very important for you to know, is not a done deal. It's for you to digest and give feedback, and we'll change it based upon the community feedback, and then we'll implement it. With that premise, let's move forward. What I'd like to introduce you today is Vibe, Vitruvio Income Building Engine. One of the things that's really important to a lot of people, in fact, I would say everybody, is recurring passive income. That's important for crypto investors. It's certainly important for creators because that's one thing that they haven't gotten. They've got this a sale here, a sale there every few months, and the idea of a recurring income is really important to everyone. So with Vibe, what we want to do is create a protocol-wide program to unify and expand various revenue sharing initiatives. Now, those of you who know me and my background know that I come from an open source background where I feel we want to create an abundance mentality. Also, if you haven't been paying attention for the past year, everything I do is with careful consideration, with one thing in mind: how does it benefit the ecosystem? I want everyone to win, and it's never about, hey, how can I make only one person or one segment win. It's about ecosystem. So this is about that. And let's look at some background here. So currently we have revenue sharing plans for validators, for Vitro holders, for Booster and Vortex NFT holders. Each plan is different. Each one was arrived separately. So for example, for boosters and validators, it's a percentage of NFT sales revenue. For Vortex, it's a percentage of streaming revenue. For Vitro, it's a percentage of DEX fees. So these are all three very different revenue share models. The evolution and the way of thinking about this is that the existing rev share plans were conceived over time for specific groups. With Vibe, it's a first principles approach to revenue sharing for the entire ecosystem. And let's see how that works. So the first, let's get back to like why is this necessary? Because there has to be a reason for it. So as I mentioned earlier, we are at the point now with Vitru Store where revenue sharing has to be activated, right? With Vortex also, it's going to be activated shortly. So as we work to implement this revenue sharing, it becomes very, very apparent that the complexity of ad hoc models is a problem. So when you conceive of these solutions at a business level, it's one thing, but when you try and implement them in smart contracts, etc., you start hitting these technical walls very quickly about how does this work, etc. And that is sort of becoming apparent now. And this is because every rule has every group has a different rule, and so there's a cost to it. There's a cost to developing those smart contracts, maintaining them, and administering them over time. So that's the problem we are trying to solve, folks. And Vibe is the solution. And because it has been approached with a first principle approach, it is future proof. So Vibe, if this plan moves forward and this proposal is accepted by the community in a modified form, I'm presuming, uh, it will replace all prior revenue sharing plans, no exception. This will be the single unified model that we will have in the Vitruvio ecosystem. Sip chai. All right. So, how is this going to work, and what is our goal? So, we want to motivate everyone in the ecosystem, all the stakeholders, to contribute to Vitruvio's long-term success. So, instead of a me approach, I would like to have everyone have a we approach. How can we all thrive? How can we all succeed instead of me with my bag only succeeding? So, now, this is what we had before. We had validators and boosters with NFT sales. We had Vortex with streaming revenue, Vitro with DEX fees. And here is what I'm proposing on the right. All revenue is available for all stakeholders. Huge. So I can't say this is an apples to orange comparison. I would say this is an apple to apple orchard comparison. So before, what you had was apples, and now we're saying let's take the whole thing and put it into play, all revenue. All right. So let's look at how this would work. So the first thing is we would have a single Vibe contract that is created and deployed. All revenue received by the protocol, regardless of where it comes from. It doesn't matter what app, it doesn't matter what smart contract, it doesn't matter what source, it doesn't matter what currency. Everything goes into this single contract. All right. Next thing, this smart contract has one indivisible fungible token called Vibe. What I mean by indivisible is you can't have 0.5 Vibe, you can't have 0.12 Vibe. You can only have one Vibe. That's the smallest unit you can have. And the supply of Vibe is fixed at 1 million. All right. So that's 1 million Rev Share units, if you will. If you are a Vibe holder at any time, you can claim your pro rata share of revenue coming into the Vibe smart contract. Now, remember, every source of revenue is coming into that smart contract. Your one Vibe or 100 Vibes or whatever give you a proportionate share of that revenue. You can go in anytime and claim it. All right, it's really that's it. It's really that simple. The rest is all implementation details, which I'm going to go into with you. But from an understanding standpoint, one smart contract, 1 million Vibes. If you're a holder of a Vibe, you, for the rest of your life, as long as you're holding it, get a share of the revenue coming into the protocol, regardless of where it comes. Now let's go into the details, because that's where everyone gets hung up. So let's go through the details of what all this means. So, but first, a big picture look. I know a lot of you are visual thinkers, so it's important to communicate this. You have all revenue sources. They all come into one place, Vibe smart contract, and the Vibe token holders, you claim it's yours to claim forever. Nothing can be taken away. Nothing can be modified. That's it. That's how it works. All right. So a one way to look at it is with the lens of a token. So you all have Vitru tokens. So the price and profit of Vitru depend on market conditions and investor sentiment. And as we just discussed with rebasing, you can have up to 5x passive income in over 5 to 7 years from rebasing. That's Vitru, right? You go and sell your Vitru on a market, or there's a SEX or DEX, you're done. You no longer get any of that. You have collected your profit, you've exited, and you're done. Vibe has no market value. It's unlikely it will be traded, but maybe someone wants to trade it. I don't know. I intend to look at it as a no market value. Its revenue share income depends on market adoption of our protocol services. So it depends on creators coming and adopting our Vitru suite, consumers using Vitru Stream, gamers coming and building on Vortex. So all of these are basically vectors for income, right? Our DEX, there's income there also. So revenue share for Vibe depends on market adoption of these protocol services. But here's the most important thing you need to understand about Vibe versus Vitru. It is recurring income with no ceiling, no upper limit. and it's available forever. So if you're holding a vibe, you have access to the protocol's revenue forever, a portion of it, right? Whereas with Vitru, you have rebasing income, and then when you exit, you're done, you're out of it. So this is the difference between the two. That's the lens you want to look at it with. And everyone is going to look inward, look at their own situation and make choices around it based upon some of the mechanisms that we are providing here for you to acquire vibes. So let's see that. All right. But before we do that, I want to highlight to you the current revenue sources we have that go into this pool. So first and foremost, we have Vitru Store NFT sales fees. So that's going to be 2%. It may be bumped up to 2.5%, but that's roughly it. We are going to enable the print license. It's already in there. A lot of artists have already uploaded their print media. So we're going to make a partnership with the print resource so we can print frames, we can print t-shirts, mugs, whatever, all of that. So there's going to be sales fees with that. We have a unique licensing model. We have the ability to create many, many different licenses for one artwork. So all the future license sales fees are going to go in there, the profit from that. We have Vitru Stream consumer subscription fees. Those are coming in there. The new Wrap Vitru contract, it is being designed so that all the rebasing that comes in from the Vitru locked into that contract goes as income into Vibe. So that by itself, folks, if you think about it, is going to be huge because everyone who wants to trade Vitru is going to wrap their Vitru. That Vitru is going to be sitting in a contract and it's going to be rebasing. All those rebases are income for Vibe. So that is a big deal. Vortex, we're going to have fixture and asset sales. Vortex is going to have gaming fees. And then also all future revenue sources. So everything that is going to come that has any kind of revenue component flows through Vibe. In addition to Vitru, we also have USDC profit. So we will inevitably have stream partner agreements. These would be in IRL outside of crypto. There would be long-term arrangements, and they would be significantly high value dollar agreements where the fees, etc., come in via wire transfer, because that's what a lot of businesses will do. They don't, if they're not in crypto. We are also going to initiate collector credit sales with US dollars. So someone can come in and with their credit card buy collector credits and then therefore be able to buy artwork. We also have future revenue sources there. And finally, we have DEX fees. So every other kind of token or whatever that's on the DEX, the fees that come in all flow into Vibe. So this is basically how Vibe works. Now let's look at how you can acquire a Vibe. Basically, we made it super simple. It's just a decision for you to make, whether you want it or not. So there are 10 categories of folks eligible for Vibe. There's only 1 million Vibe tokens. It's going to be your decision whether you want it or not. If you want it, it's yours. All right. So let's start how we go. First and foremost, with the treasury, everything that's unallocated will remain in the treasury as protocol income. So remember, the protocol has to pay for all this development and maintenance and pay people to do marketing and all of that. So that has to come from somewhere. And certainly that's going to come, a lot of it is going to come from the Vitru in the treasury that's going to appreciate in value over time. But at least in the initial stages here, we need to have income. So it stays there until it goes to someone else. So let's look at the first group, validators. Now, as I've mentioned, all of this is a plan. Everyone will have a chance to input. We will refine it, and then we will activate it. But if you're unhappy with some aspect of this, that's okay. It's just a matter of commenting on it and getting feedback. So this is about getting feedback. This is how we do things here, where we present a plan, we get feedback, we get some consensus, and then we develop it, right? So the first thing is with validators, we'll have 100,000 vibes. That's 10% allocated to a new validator multi-sig smart contract to be controlled by VTech. VTech is the group that is basically managing all the validator operations, etc. Now, what this contract will enable VTech to do is to distribute the revenue share only to those nodes that meet their performance criteria. So for example, if you've got a validator node, but you don't in fact run a validator, or your validator is down all the time, you will not be eligible for revenue share. Now, we don't want the protocol to make those decisions. We allow the validator group to make those decisions. They have this pool of vibe. They have income coming into the smart contract. It is multi-sig, so no one person has control over it, and they can make the rules around how uh, the validators can make income. All right. So that's one thing around the validators. All right. The next thing is uh, creators. So 8 Vibe tokens will be airdropped to each Dreamer Core NFT holder, Artpacks artists, and Genesis artists. These are artists who have supported us, who have provided their artwork and helped us get to the point where we actually have a functioning system. We are about to launch Creator KYC, and we will be airdropping Vibe tokens to creators who complete that KYC as thank you, and also to show that trust goes both ways. In addition, 70,000 Vibe tokens will be kept in reserve for Dreamers. So what we want to do is we want to set criteria for creators, and the criteria, once met, will make them eligible for getting these Vibe tokens. So you'll see a pattern here. Instead of sort of specifying exactly how the model works, we designate to each group and let them figure out. So validators will figure out how validators should earn. The creator council will figure out how creators should earn. My guess is it would be something like complete so many consignments over a period of time of high quality artwork, and then you earn Vibe tokens, etc. So the idea is to reward creators who are actively participating in the Vitruvio ecosystem. We don't want to reward those who just make a listing, get some money, and then go. We don't want to reward those. We want people who are active, who are actually working in the ecosystem, and who are both benefiting from and helping others benefit from the ecosystem. So that's creators. The next group is collectors and partners. We want to incentivize art collectors and art organization partners to come on board here and to help this ecosystem thrive. So we're going to set aside 20,000 Vibe tokens in reserve for these. And again, we'll set up the rules about how they are going to earn these. And remember, until the tokens are allocated, they belong to the protocol. So they sit in the revenue share goes to the treasury, and that benefits everybody, because that's how we pay for all the services and things that we are building. All right. The next thing is the team. So there's a team of folks who have been working very hard, who actually have been doing things for the past few months without any pay, and we want to reward them. So 10,000 Vibe tokens will be distributed among current team members, and 10,000 will be held in reserve for future team members. So there's a lot of activity, all this development you're seeing done. There's people working hard behind the scenes, and this is their compensation. Now come the booster NFT holders. So previously you had a sliver of 2% of just the NFT sales, and now you have a bigger pool. So each booster will be airdropped 12 Vibe tokens, and each super booster will be airdropped 2004 Vibe tokens. So that booster to super booster is just a linear math conversion based upon the value. So you're going to get a significant more revenue share with this approach, because previously you had only a sliver. You had one tiny share of it, and now you have revenue from all these other sources that is pulled in, and your Vibe tokens will enable you to capture that revenue. With Vortex NFTs, it is tiered by rarity, and so Epic holders will each be airdropped 4 Vibe tokens, Ultra will be 3, Rare will be 2, and Common will be 1 Vibe. So that is what Vortex NFT holders get. And again, the plan was only streaming revenue, and now you have the entire pool of all revenue sources and access to that pool for revenue sharing. You can do the math on this, everybody, and I know everyone will, but as I said, the comparison is not apples to oranges, it's apples to orchards, because we literally opened up a huge pool of revenue for everybody. And so previous numbers are all trivial in the scope of this. This is a much bigger pie. All right, so number 8, I want to introduce the concept of V3. A lot of projects have MVPs, most valuable professionals, and things like that. I'd like to introduce very valuable Vitruvians. So there are many members of the community, whether they're in the validators, in the Discord, in different chats, different spaces, etc. Community members who consistently help other individuals and the overall ecosystem thrive. We want to recognize them, we want to celebrate them, and we want to promote them, and we want to reward them. So 10,000 Vibe will be kept in reserve for the V3 program to start awarding these folks who have volunteered their time and effort to help. And with V3, that is our way to recognize them. All right, and the next two are how you as a Vitru or a Vitru holder can get into Vibe. It's very simple. It's just a matter of you deciding to opt in to Vibe. The basic choice you have to make, and it is a voluntary choice for everyone. You don't want to make that choice, don't. The basic choice is between profit from Vitru price appreciation versus passive rev share income from Vibe. So if you want one Vibe, you swap it out with 100 Vitru. That's it. It's your choice. It's got to be vested Vitru. You can do this anytime until the point where we list on the DEX. So I'm coming to that right now. And with Vitro, it's the same concept. You can just swap. The choice is yours. You can do absolutely nothing, and you will be fine. There's no compulsion on your part. You have 1,000 Vitro to 1 Vitro. So this is the basic mechanics of Vibe. It is enabling everyone in the community to benefit. You can make a choice to go hybrid. You could say, well, I want to take my chances with the market. I want to go hang on to all my Vitru. And you might just get one Vibe or something like that, and say that, okay, I want some recurring revenue also. Your decision to make. We just provide all the details for you, all the data, and provide a mechanism for you to do it. If you don't choose to get a Vibe, that's fine. That revenue share stays with the treasury. It doesn't go anywhere else. So that is it. The basic opt-in offer is that we'll make up to I'm sorry, it says 500K, but it should probably say 300K. I mistook that. I'll correct that slide before I share it with everybody. Vibe tokens prior to start of Vitru tokens. Okay. Now the revenue share has no upper limit and is available forever. So again, 100% your decision, costs you nothing. You don't have to put in a dime here. It's just a matter of, do I want to swap or not? And as I mentioned, this whole program or Vibe is about really elevating the ecosystem and elevating the community. So it's your choice. If you are a hardcore crypto investor and go like, I don't care for all this revenue share, I don't believe in any of the things that you're doing. If you haven't had a chance to look at our strategic plan, then more than likely you're going to make a knee-jerk reaction. But if you look at the development we've done, the results we've gotten, look at the strategic plan in detail, you'll see that it's a no-brainer decision. And I'll leave you to decide what that no-brainer decision is. But here's the basic allocation table in a bird's eye view here. So the treasury has over 50% of the revenue there, the revenue share, and the rest is divided up among all the different categories. And the last row there is your opt-in. So there's a pool that is basically going to be drawn from the treasury. So when every time a Vitru or a Vitro swap-in occurs, opt-in occurs, it goes from the treasury. It has zero impact on anyone else's pool. So it's not a variable pool where as more come in, your share goes up or down. All the other shares are constant. They are unchanging and will not change regardless of what happens. Everything comes from the treasury. So this is the general plan here. The important thing, and I want to reiterate, this is a plan, all right? In order for it to be activated, the first thing that has to happen is we'll get feedback from the community. So on these things, it has been my observation that the feedback comes fast and furious. So I expect there'll be lots of feedback today, tomorrow, and the weekend, and maybe Monday, Tuesday. And assuming that we are able to reach consensus and get the numbers just right for the different stakeholders, we can look to deploy a Vibe contract as early as next week and then start the airdrops, get those Vibe airdrops done. Now, if you're wondering what would have happened if there was no Vibe, well, if there was no Vibe, then you're already holding a core NFT. The revenue share component would have been kind of added on to that, and it would be available in Scope. All we are doing is saying that, well, instead of having it ad hoc, but with all these different classes, we'll just do one way of sort of revenue share, and we'll include it in there. So we'll add a Vibe Mint page into Scope, so you can go in there and mint and get your tokens. And the first revenue share test for Vibe is going to come from Vitru Store NFT sales, because we are in the process, as I mentioned earlier, implementing the ability for artists to upload multiple artworks at whatever price they want. The moment that's up there, the fees are on, and Rev Share begins. So we are talking about a matter of weeks. I would say maximum 3 weeks away, but best case 2 weeks away, that the Rev Share begins. So this is the activation. I want to reiterate one more time, because I know people don't listen very well and just jump to conclusions. This is a plan. This is a proposal to the community. There has to be feedback that comes from the community, and the plan can be amended before it is activated. So I just reiterate that, because I know I see people there are some people in Discord who just will not listen and assume that Nick is saying we should do this and blah, blah, blah. And no, this is a consensus plan. So we'll be doing a Discord live, X Spaces to gather feedback and answer your questions. All suggestions and feedback are welcome, even those that say, hey, this plan is complete garbage. Plan will be amended based on reasonable community consensus. Now, I've known from past experience that every stakeholder group watches out for themselves, which is fine. That's what they should do. But I don't want it to be at the expense of others, right? So I want to have a balanced approach to this, so everyone wins. We can do this. We can do it where everyone wins. And in fact, I like people to think that a rising tide lifts all boats. So let's all think about mechanisms that ensure that everyone can be successful. That's why this is the Vitruvio income building engine. We want everyone to be successful. We want the crypto investors, the boosters, the Vortex holders, the creators. We want the team. Everyone should benefit from this.